Oh my god. For me, I think favorite boss monster I ever made. I actually threw my players very recently. There's some backstory to this. So, dear listeners, I am Puerto Rican. My dad is full Puerto Rican, and he always told me stories about a massive cave on the island, which I've been to. That's behind a waterfall and it's in the shape of a giant bat. And I always loved the idea of this like King Kong sized fucking bat monster coming out like a creature of darkness blotting out the sky. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna throw that at my players, because that's going to haunt my nightmares, so surely it's going to haunt yours. And I used the Gloomstalker stat block, made it size gargantuan, and fused it with things like a rock, the bird, a Gloomstalker.
The bird, not, the sediment.
Yeah. And then I gave it a mythic form.
Oh my god.
Just to be a schmuck, and I gave it like regional effects and legendary actions. I put the whole works in.
The whole cat's pajamas.
Yeah, and I had so much fun doing that fight because in its first form, it snuffs out any artificial light. Any natural light. So fires go out, sunlight gone, stars, and just anything that's not powered by electricity goes out. So, they had a night vision scope and some flashlights, and the thing is huge, and they're in like a clearing in a forest, so it can just swoop in and hit them and leave. And yeah, they can all make attacks of opportunity, but it's heavily discouraged, so they count as blinded and they have disadvantage. So they basically had to designate several players to use their actions to scan for the monster in a non-visual sort of way. Like, for example, one of my players has this like minor mutation where she can sense creatures beyond the veil, or just energy beyond the veil, and it points her in a direction. So whenever it would fly close, I would tell her like, oh, it's in that direction, and I would give the players in my head like, I would give them like a +2, like just a floating modifier to hit the thing. And then the other ones would have to ready their actions and hit it before it hit them. And it went on for like 6 or 7 rounds. And then they finally killed it. And then its mythic form hit, and its mythic form extinguishes all light no matter what. So they were just in the dark permanently.
Fuck.
And that became more of a more traditional slugfest with a bag of hit points. But its whole thing is it like could hit multiple enemies at once, and it did like a screech attack that could fear people, and if they were feared, they were paralyzed for that round, and just like it went off on them. And at the end, it's the most satisfying thing as a dungeon master, where the players finish a boss fight and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a lie down.
Yeah, they hit you with the, oh, thank Christ, it's dead.
Yeah. Well, because it got back up, so when they killed it again, they just kept wailing on it.
Just keep kicking they just did the JoJo meme. They all just started stomping the shit out of it.
How many times do we teach you this lesson, old
like
man?
6 shots into it.
Oh,
That's an entirely fair reaction.
Absolutely, I loved it.
That's great.
Excellent.